Senate backs redesign of Naira notes. Lawmakers knock NEMA over lopsided interventions across the country. And later on the program,
we had some level of attacks. The central bank informed us authoritatively that our 500 and 1,000 Naira notes were attacked.
Would hear from the chairman of the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions. You're watching the Hello Chambers on TVC News. I am Tijesu Adewi. Senators were divided over the decision of the Central Bank of Nigeria to redesign the Naira notes and also the deadline given to phase out the old notes. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions raised a motion for the Senate to throw its weight behind the Apex Bank's decision to print the new Naira notes. But the lawmakers had different views on the matter. Some wanted the deadline extended, while others want the Senate to simply ignore the CBN because it's an autonomous institution.
Urge the Senate to provide legislative support for the design of the new banknotes. 2. Mandate the Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions to embark on an aggressive oversight to ensure that Nigerians are adequately protected from the CBN banks and other agencies involved in the process.
A month and a half is extremely short for what we're about to do. Because if you withdraw 1 trillion from this economy at once in a month, the ripple effect will affect everybody.
The CBN should really now go on to very serious enlightenment, because there could be some people in some rural areas who might not even be aware of these policies. One would have expected that there would have been proper consultation, even though it is our exclusive preserve to do what they are doing. But then there was no consultation. After the printing has commenced, the president has approved and said, "I'll legislative support." It will be ridiculous for us to go ahead and do that. Let him go ahead and do what he's doing.
Those in favor say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
House of Representatives Committee on Ecological Funds has accused the National Emergency Management Agency of favoring certain sections and groups in the country over others. The lawmakers insist their constituents are yet to get relief materials from NEMA as part of the government's efforts to cushion the hardship caused by the recent floods that ravaged communities across the country.
There is a very serious communication gap, and that is why we are having this issue. You can see that even your director is not able to explain or distinguish between senators, House of Representatives, and House of Assembly.
I want to put it to you that you people were not appointed to be partial. You swore an oath before you take your office. The way you treat some of us from this area, is that the same way you are treating other people?
I've not seen anywhere in your presentation where you highlight the kind of support you give to each of the states for us to know exactly what you did during this period, because in Bayelsa, I'm very much aware that at the peak of the whole flood, there was no presence of any federal agency in Bayelsa.
The National Assembly complex, currently under renovation, may not be completed within the stipulated time, as the site engineer told the Senate Committee on FCT that the deadline is no longer feasible. The contractors say the fluctuating foreign exchange has made it difficult for them to purchase equipment and materials needed to carry out the renovation work.
So you have to let us know, are they owing you? Is it money that is the problem? If it is the money, we know here, and that's why we're here. You don't have to hide anything for us, because if you don't finish this job, we'll ask police to arrest you people, because it means it's a threat to democracy. You want to derail democracy.
We have challenges of the ever-increasing exchange rate, which has affected most of our procurement of goods, because about 80% to 90% of this contractor project is procurement-based, and all these are imported items.
So it's not a problem as far as we are concerned. When the claims for variations are raised, they are normally subjected to thorough evaluation, scrutiny before we, and he knows that, so it's not an issue. So.
Nigeria's House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on Appropriation to provide 200 billion naira in the 2023 appropriation bill to tackle flooding. The fund will be put under the Ecological Project Office in the Presidency for flood preparedness, mitigation, response, recovery, and relief packages.
Urge the federal government to take an urgent request for supplementary budget from the National Assembly, the sum of 100 billion naira or more, to Ecological Project Office, EPO, under the Presidency as intervention fund to mitigate recovery and relief programs across the country. And 4, mandate the House Committee on Appropriation to make provision of 200 billion naira in the 2023 appropriation year for the Ecological Project Office in the Presidency for flood preparedness, mitigation, response, recovery, and relief packages.
My guest today is a decorated Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria representing Kaduna Central Senatorial District. He is also the chairman of the Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions. He is also the governorship candidate flying the flag of the All Progressives Congress. His name is Senator Uba Sani. It's good to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
You moved a motion for the Senate to support the decision of the CBN to redesign the Naira notes. Why is the support of the Senate necessary as for the Apex Bank that is supposed to be autonomous?
The Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions have constitutional responsibility to oversight the central bank and all the financial institutions in Nigeria. It's our constitutional responsibility. If you look at the Fiscal Responsibility Act, you realize that we have responsibility to even approve the budget of the central bank, their expenditure and their revenues, and all their monetary policies of the central bank must be oversighted by the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions. These are the laws I'm quoting because, of course, we have to do our job. And when the central bank announced their decisions to redesign some Naira notes, that is 200 Naira, 500, and 1,000 Naira notes, of course, the central bank governor briefed the Committee on Banking, Insurance, and Other Financial Institutions, knowing fully that we have responsibility to oversight the central bank. But beyond that, if you look at the rules of the Senate, you agree with me that we have to report back at all times. And the only way to do that is to go back to the floor of the Senate, inform the entire members of the National Assembly, particularly the Senate, which we are representing, our deliberations, and why the central bank decided to redesign the Naira notes. That is our constitutional responsibility. So we try to do that, and the only way to do that is to go and explain to the colleagues, and I did that by raising Order 41 and 51. That was talking about the urgent matter of urgent national importance. And of course, I did that because if you listen to the responses of, if you are following what Nigerians were saying, particularly the politicians, the businessmen, and virtually everyone, some were not really convinced that the decision was necessary. But some of us that have privilege of sitting down with the central bank governor and the management of central bank have better knowledge about the decision. So it is our responsibility to inform our colleagues and by extension inform Nigerians that are not privileged. So we did that, and I am happy that my colleagues in the Senate supported the central bank decision.
Very valid point you cited there, distinguished. But one common issue that has been raised, especially by your colleagues during the debate, is the timeline that has been put on this the said intervention. Many people believe that the timeline is too short. Do you agree with?
No, I totally disagree with that position, because of course my own concern is not about those who are talking about the timeline. Because if you're talking about a timeline, that means you have so much money at home. We're talking about few Nigerians that have billions in their homes. And for me, if you have billions in your homes, you know how to take the money to the bank. Why can't you take your money to the bank within 2 months if your money is legitimate? You should be able to do that. And of course, the central bank have also come out with a press statement, asking all the branches of central bank across the country, that is the 36 states, to also open their branches for individuals that have money who might not necessarily take you to the commercial bank because of the level of the traffic there. Maybe a lot of people have money to take to the commercial bank. Central bank said, no, we can assist. You can approach central bank branches across the country and they can assist you. For those who don't even have bank account, the central bank have opened that window for them to get to the central bank, deposit their money, they will open accounts for them within 30 minutes and their money is safe. So I don't think the timeline is the problem. The problem is that a lot of people complaining are mostly politicians like me who are looking at the timing. Some are saying, why can't you wait until after election? But why do you have to wait until after election? When the reason for this is very, very critical. We are saying we are facing the danger of people printing this currency. 500 Naira notes and 1,000 Naira notes have been attacked already as we're speaking. And of course, we cannot wait and said we have to wait until after elections. That means it's just to serve the interests of few people in this country. But the overall interest of our own country is more important than the individual of the few, than the interest of the few. So for me, I disagree with the time frame. I believe from now to 31st January, everyone can take his money safely to commercial bank of his choice.
So how does this translate to the common man? How would it benefit the ordinary Nigerians? How would they benefit?
Of course, it will benefit the ordinary Nigerians because one, our economy is good. The value of dollar will crash. The value of Naira will increase. And the common man will benefit because the common man is suffering because our economy is bad. That is the reason. If the value of dollar goes up, everything in the market will be affected. That's why even the common man is suffering. So for me, this policy is in the best interest of the common man in this country, the best interest of our country, and I believe we should support it. Even the common man will benefit more than any other person. Because, of course, we're also going to, this will support, the financial inclusion. Because you will agree with me that a lot of people in rural areas don't even have bank accounts. So I'm more concerned about those that are vulnerable and unbanked, not the rich politicians who want the time to be extended because of election. I'm more concerned about the vulnerable and the unbanked. Those ones, we at the level of Committee on Banking are now working closely with the central bank to ensure that central bank come up with aggressive sensitization, also mobilizing the branches of the central banks across the country as well as the commercial banks to reach out to some areas that don't have banks so that we can make an arrangement to at least look at the interests of those who live in an area where there are no commercial banks, so that no one suffer, and everyone will be looked into, and they will make sure that no one lose even 1 naira of his own legitimate money. That is the most important thing. So we are looking at that, and in the next 1 week or so, we'll work with the central bank to ensure that everybody in this country, particularly the poor people and the vulnerable, are protected. For me, they are the most important people in this country. That is what I'm looking at.
Okay, we take a short breather. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The National Assembly is a busy place. As the bastion of democracy, it is a place where bills are presented, motions debated, laws made, and the yearnings of the people are laid bare. Come with us as we take you through the workings of the National Assembly. We take you through plenary, committee meetings, and probes, all to ensure smooth working of the democratic process.
Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, you're still watching the Hallowed Chambers, and my guest today is Senator Uba Sani. Let's talk politics. How energized is your governorship campaign now that the court has struck out the suit challenging your candidacy?
No, I think what I can say here is that even before the court decided, I did not believe there was any problem, because we had free and fair election. Everyone was given opportunity, so I think I was not really worried, to be frank. I wasn't worried. But having said that, we in Kaduna State, I don't think we have any problem, particularly in this very election. Like I said earlier, in one of my interviews, that APC will get the highest number of votes in Kaduna. The only states probably we are looking at trying to challenge us might be Lagos State because of the population. But outside Lagos State, because of the population, and because Aswaju is from Lagos State, there is no state in Nigeria will give both the presidential candidate, myself, the gubernatorial candidate, and all the people contesting election at various levels more votes than Kaduna State. And I have my reason. Number one reason is that our governor, Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai, have done more than any governor in the history of Kaduna State. When you go to Kaduna, you will agree with me that there's a lot of transformation in Kaduna. The urban renewal program of our amiable governor have really helped us a lot. We have done a lot in infrastructural development, we've done a lot in our educational development, we've done a lot in our healthcare, human capital development, agricultural development, and all those things. So these are the promises made by our governor 2015 when he was elected. As we are speaking now, even the opposition in Kaduna State will agree with me that Malam Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai have achieved virtually everything he promised. And so we are going to campaign on those achievements of our amiable governor. And beside that, some of us that are contesting on the platform of APC, we have our track records. For instance, I'm here in the National Assembly representing Kaduna Central Senatorial District in the last 3.5 years. I did something with other candidates of PDP. These are the leading parties, Labour Party and NNPP. All the 3 candidates were at certain times represented their own various constituencies to the National Assembly, precisely the House of Reps. And I can assure you, the Kaduna State people are even disappointed that their parties presented them, because if you look at their track records when they came to the National Assembly, none of them have ever even moved a single motion, talk about sponsoring a bill. And they haven't done anything in terms of bringing development in their various constituencies. So they have failed woefully, And in Kaduna, we are people that are extremely very cosmopolitan. We are people that are very knowledgeable. So our people can only vote for you on the basis of a track record. And when you look at that, the candidate of APC from my humble self to those contesting for the Senate, House of Reps, and the State Assembly have best track record than the other parties. So we don't have any problem. So, and that is why today in Kaduna State, we're not talking about any other parties, APC and the rest as well.
Well, Kaduna State, as you said, is a cosmopolitan state, but the recent insecurity and heightened tension in Kaduna State has sort of affected the cosmopolitan outlook. How do you hope to restore the people's confidence in security in terms of assuring them that you're going to protect their lives and property?
Yeah, like I said, the Kaduna State people have been following what we've been doing, particularly here in the National Assembly. They're also aware that the issue of security is not with the state governors, neither with the members of the National Assembly. Most of them are aware of the constitutional provisions, and they are also aware that someone like me have been pushing for the creation of state police in the National Assembly. If you can recall, because you've been covering the National Assembly for years now, you will agree with me that I'm the one at the moment that have been pushing since I came to the Senate for the creation of the state police. I had about 4 bills that when you combine them together, you will have a state police if you look at our constitution. Of course, unfortunately, we did not succeed because we lost at the level of the conference committee because to amend any part of the constitution, including the creation of state police in Nigeria, you need both the Senate and the House of Reps to sit together. And of course, at the level of the Senate, we all agree unanimously that my bill was timely, and unanimously the bill was supported. But unfortunately, we lost at the level of the conference committee. But sitting here, I still believe that the only way we can solve the issue of insecurity in Nigeria, we're not talking about Kaduna State. There is no state in Nigeria that is immune to insecurity problem. Every state has problem with insecurity in this country as we're speaking. And of course, it is a national crisis. And of course, if you look at the constitution of our country, the state governors are chief security officers of the state, but they don't control the commission of police. They don't control the military, they don't control the Air Force, they don't control the Navy, so they cannot do much. We will try our best, but we have worked closely at the level of our state with all the security agencies in Nigeria, and that is the reason why in the last few months we have relative peace in our state. There's no much problem in security in Kaduna State any longer again. Go and check the record as right now, because our governor have gone out of his way to even work with all the security agencies in Nigeria. And because of that, we are making progress and we are achieving a lot. So we don't have much problem in security in Kaduna State, but that shouldn't be the problem because going forward, only recently, the state governors unanimously, not only the southern state governors, even the northern state governors came together and unanimously agree that the only way we can end the issue of insecurity in Nigeria is by the creation of the state police, because we are liking the boots.
Okay, you're a well-known lawmaker from the north, and we have seen you on the floor stand up in the interest of your people in your region. How has your legislative experience, helped you to grow or to impact your wealth of experience? And how do you hope to bring this into the governance if you eventually get elected as the governor of Kaduna State?
Yeah, like I always said, that's why I give you example of my so-called opponents, who came to the National Assembly and ended up without sponsoring a single bill. As we are speaking here, I'm the only senator that have 2 major bills assented by Mr. President. If you remember, I sponsored Welfare Act, that's Banking and Other Financial Institution Act, that was assented by Mr. President 2020. Welfare Act was obsolete, and of course it was a very important bill I sponsored that have to do with the financial service sector in this country. And I'm really happy. My colleagues unanimously supported the bill, and we amended the Welfare Act at least so that it will be in line with the best practices. And of course, that is one of the major bill I was able to sponsor and Mr. President assented. For me, it was really important. And again, if you can recall, I also amended the AMCON Act, which Mr. President assented 2021. So as we are speaking right now, I have 31 bills to my name, and I probably have the highest number of bills that are progressing now at the level of National Assembly. For me, it's a very important experience. I've learned a lot. And of course, in the past, I also worked at the executive arm of the government when I worked with the former President Uba Sani as advisor on public affairs. So I've worked virtually in every arm of the government. And before coming to the Senate, you will recall that I also worked with my governor, Governor Senator Uba as the governor of Kaduna State. So I have the experience, I have the knowledge, and of course I will go to campaign based on my track record, like I said.
That is all on this edition of the program, but you can still follow us online to get breaking news and updates from the National Assembly. Thank you for watching. I am Tijesu Adiri. See you next time.